Hey guys, welcome back to Sad Dad. My name's Dave Abkary and I am a comedian out of Fresno, California, and this is a podcast where I sit down with my fellow funny friends, my fellow comedians, and we talk about dads. Hi, how are you? How's your week been? It's been, I've had a pretty solid week this week, man. Our Monday and Tuesday shows have been kind of blah lately, at Chico's in Old Town Clovis, but we had a killer run of shows. Restored a lot of my faith in the, in doing comedy. So, it was good. Had some real funny comedians up this week. Gene Whitney, who I'll be releasing an episode of Sad Dad with, next week, and Rena Herdert. It was the first time I'd worked with Rena, and she was so funny. So, yeah, it's been good. If any of you guys follow me on social media, you will see a post I put up this week. My dad, he built me this really cool base for my podcast setup, and it's the problem was I had this infamous block of wood. Many longtime listeners of Sad Dad will know I mentioned this block of wood that I would like. My microphone's kind of stuck out of this block of wood, right? But I had to like weigh it down with these weights, so otherwise it would kind of like fall forward, and it was, it worked, but it was kind of ugly. And I just kind of like casually mentioned to my dad that I was thinking about going out to his wood shop and redoing it, making a new one. And then I took Abby to a softball game. She had a softball game tournament, and I took her to that. And I came home from that tournament for Abby, and I had this thing sitting on my front porch. My dad had just built it, like he just did it. And so, I mean, I wanted to do it myself. It seemed like a fun, crafty project, but my dad just went and did it, and frankly, it's perfect. So, what I really like about it too is it's really heavy. It's probably, I would guess, probably like 40 pounds, but my whole rig, the microphones, the digital recorder, the headphone amplifier, even the power strip are all mounted on this thing. So I really just have to pick it up, set it down, and then it's just one plug into the wall, and we're podcasting, folks. So it looks like a weird monstrosity though, because it kind of like folds up, and I kind of designed it to like fold up, and when I put it all together, and it looks like a weird cross between like a Mad Max, like a vehicle from Mad Max, and like one of the robots from the Matrix, because it's got all these cords, but it also looks all weird and like DIY. I don't know. I'm really into it. You can go to my Facebook page or my Instagram and see a picture of this monstrosity. I've named it Bethany. Its name is Bethany. So Bethany is now. I don't know where that came from. It just seemed like a Bethany. Cool. And oh man, yeah. And again, if you're in the greater Fresno Clovis area, you want to come out to a comedy show, let me know. Hit me up. I'll let you know what's going on. Going into Thanksgiving next week. I hope you guys have cool plans with the family or with your friends, or I don't know. I mean, if you're in the Fresno area and don't have any plans, let me know. We usually do like a big shindig out here, and I always have a lot of leftovers, so I can hook you up with some leftovers. I'm gonna make my signature Thanksgiving dish, which is cheese bedag. It's an old Armenian dish. I think I talked about it last year. It was my favorite thing that my Armenian grandma used to make, and then she passed away, and then I didn't have any cheese bedag in my life, and it's this really overly indulgent like cheese thing. It's like flaky. It's sort of like if you like baklava, it's like a savory version of baklava, but it's real buttery and crunchy and cheesy and gross. I'll have like 2 pieces of it, and I'm like, I'm done for the year. So yeah, probably gonna make some of that. That's always kind of a fun ritual for me. My family really likes it. Sometimes I get saucy and I spruce it up. I'll throw some bacon in it. Oh, hello. Little bacon bedag. That was my nickname in high school. Kids can be so cruel. That's not true. Okay. Cool. Guys, let's talk about our guest this week. DJ Sandhu. DJ Sandhu was in town. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to catch him because he was doing our weekend shows, but I was kind of busy this weekend, and I had an out of town show, so I wasn't even performing at my own shows that I helped produce this weekend, and so I didn't actually get to watch DJ perform, but I hit him up because he was performing on Friday. He was staying the night in Fresno and to do the Saturday show, and Saturday morning I hit him up. I was like, "Hey man, you want to do my dad podcast?" And he was totally down, and it was good for DJ. He's starting a podcast of his own, so he had some like technical questions and stuff. So I kind of got to help him with his setup too. I could have done more. We were a little pressed for time though. There were we got done, and I realized there's a lot that I didn't go over with him. But yeah, he can always hit me. DJ, you can hit me up if you have any questions, man. You let me know. And that's. Oh, that's a good segue too. While I'm thinking about it, I haven't been plugging this enough, but my other podcast, Shrink This, is our therapy-based podcast that I do with my friend Aaron Callahan, who's a licensed couples and family therapist, is out now. You can find that on iTunes and Stitcher and all the other places you listen to Sad Dad. It's there, so check that out. It's really good. We got 3 episodes of that out now. The first episode is on rejection. It's really good, especially if you're a comedian. We deal with a lot of rejection. The second one is love languages. That one's really interesting, and then we do our latest episode is on depression. So that's again I really like that project, and I really like how that's been coming along. That one gets released bi-weekly, so it's not on the same release schedule as Sad Dad's, but I'm editing them together and I'm releasing them on every other Wednesday. So okay, that was a weird sidebar. Okay, DJ Sandhu, super funny guy, super talented, real easy to talk to, real interesting upbringing. His dad's a real fun character too, and we get into all of that. So I think you guys are really going to like this. So without further ado, here we go, you guys. DJ Sandhu. All right, cool, man. How was the show last night?
Oh, it was dreadful.
Was it?
It was dreadful. It was just one big church group.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was, oh God, man. They were like, anytime like an adult, something happened, they got super upset.
Wow.
Like, how dare you guys not make this show for us? And I was like, I don't walk into a church and get mad they're not playing death metal.
Yeah, right.
They really were expecting us to cater to them, and we should have. Honestly, they were the only group there.
Yeah, I guess that's that weird comedic argument is like, no, read the crowd, man, read the crowd. But I don't know, man. It's a comedy show, though.
At the same time, like this wasn't marketed as a clean show.
Right.
So they can't be that upset that they didn't get. And like, they're also never going to come again.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's my thing is you should absolutely read your crowd and adjust your set when you're at a club where these people might be coming back. Right. These people only came because they wanted to see Colton. So it was just...
Oh, funny. Who's was that Miles' feature? Who's Colton? I don't know.
He was. I'm not sure. I just met him last night.
Weird.
He's from San Diego.
Oh, wow.
And he was funny. He was super funny.
Was he? That's
like,
cool.
He knows what he's doing. He's only started like this year.
Oh, wow.
And he's funny, and he should definitely keep doing comedy. He should definitely not bring his family ever again. They were.
That's fair.
They were tough. Man. It was weird because like going from one side of the table to the other, it was like this spectrum going from red to blue.
Oh, funny.
Where like this one side of the table, they just arms folded the entire time. Zero interest in what's going on at all. Like they're like, we already saw our person that we came to see, and now you're making us suffer through these other two.
Through all of this?
And the lady was super unhappy.
Jesus.
Just oh God, the look on her face she was just super judgmental.
Wow.
It was bad, man.
Wow.
It was not.
Oh man, yeah. I usually take Fridays off because I have my daughter on Fridays. I wish I could have been there with you, man. And that's one of those things where it's like, if it's a bad show, at least your friends are there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Miles loves when I have a bad set.
Does he?
It's his favorite thing in the world. I didn't have a bad set, but
sure.
What we do, me and Miles will bring each other up at the end of the show.
That's cool,
so he brought his mic with him as well. And so we did like a 2-man thing, and he immediately was like, "Did you not hear the part where like they're all from church?" I was like, no, I heard it. He was like, "Oh, so you on purpose did those jokes?" I was like, 100%.
Yeah.
He's like, "How do you feel that went?" I was like, hit and miss. I mean, a couple of them really landed.
Yeah.
There's a few of them that I know that they laughed at to themselves, and they just didn't want to admit to each other that they thought it was funny.
I love watching you and Miles like perform together and hang out together and interact together. Like, because you guys seem like you're really, really like best friends or like really good friends.
Oh, he's my best bud. Absolutely.
That's so cool. How did you guys meet? I mean, did you guys both start in Sacramento or?
Yeah, for the most part, like Sacramento area. I just consider, like, as far as comedy's concerned, anything within 100-mile radius of your doorstep is your local scene.
Right.
So he was in Vacaville,
Okay.
Vallejo, like kind of in between those.
Yeah.
And I was in Sacramento, so he would be in Sacramento a lot, or I would be in the Bay and he would also be there, and we just kept crossing paths.
Yeah.
And then eventually we just became buddies, and then we just started working together a lot.
Yeah, that's great. That part of the Central Valley, I've been kind of on like a tear, like that whole like northern Central Valley area. There's just so many fucking monsters coming out of that area right now.
Yeah, man.
And I mean, obviously you, Miles Weber, but I mean, even guys a little further south of you, but like even like the Stockton area has got some really funny comedians in it. And
they're
like,
working so hard.
Yeah, dude.
That little 209 scene
Yeah.
is always up. They're always in every other. Like, anytime I go to another spot, I will always see a 209 kid there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they started coming to our shows on Wednesdays because I guess we have a more fun Wednesday open mic than Sacramento does. So they were like, okay, on Wednesdays we'll go to Fresno. And
actually, I don't even think that Sacramento has a Wednesday mic.
There you go. So maybe that's probably why they've been coming down. But yeah, like Taylor Evans, Marcus Peverill. I mean, we had Connor Martin out. Do you know Scott Powers?
Yeah,
dude. Scott's such a monster.
Scott's so funny, man.
Funny dude, man.
He's very underrated. Like, it's people don't think of him as much, and they should. I think that he's a very funny kid.
He's so funny, and
AJ DeMello is really funny.
I haven't met AJ yet.
You would really like AJ.
Really? Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah, he's a funny kid.
Yeah, so there's just these like great comics that are coming out of that area right now, and I've sort of it's funny, like I've like for bookings I've really shifted my focus from Southern California to Northern California because it's been sort of this like gray area for me. Like I know a few guys up there, but not a lot of guys, and it's just lately it's really opened up to me, and I'm just so excited by all the talent that's coming out of there right now. So
I think that it's very healthy to grow up in, because like Sacramento has a dynamic scene in that they have everybody at every level.
Yeah.
So it's like we've got people that just started today, and then we've got people like Mikey Winfield that has been on The Office and Letterman, and and then like Kyrie Shabazz was just on Fallon, and
right.
Like, so we have everything in between that. So no matter what level you're at, there's an easy path to graduate to the next.
Right. Yeah, because you even have those like those mid-tier like crushers like Anthony K, where he's like not blown up yet, but you give him like 3 or 4 more years and he's gonna be way up there too. You know, so yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's and like Anthony's kind of like running that little 209 click a little bit, but he got to the point where he's doing shows so often that he can't really be around to Godfather it anymore. And so like that whole clique stepped up together, and now they don't really have a leader the way that they used to.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas like Sacramento, it's a free for all. It's a Wild West. Like we don't have a clique of people that are really trying to put things together.
Yeah. Did you, and is that where you grew up? Is the Sacramento area?
Yep.
Oh, right on. Well,
it was great.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask, what's Sacramento like as a young DJ Sandhu?
As a young me or as a young comic?
Grown up there.
Those are very different humans.
Whoa, that's fair. Yeah. I definitely want to get into how you got into comedy, but I was going to ask you just about life in general growing up in Sacramento.
Comedy has forced me to become a good person. Things get around so fast in comedy, and I recognize that very immediately, that I now have to be I have to live a much more honest life than I used to.
Oh, interesting.
And I stopped being a bad person years ago. Even before I started comedy, I had turned my life around before I got into comedy.
Oh,
but you would not be letting me into your home right now.
Really?
Absolutely
wow. Not. So growing up, just as a kid, were you getting in trouble? What were you doing? You don't have to get into specifics.
Getting in trouble means that you're getting caught.
That's a fair distinction.
I was definitely in positions to be in trouble.
I see. Yeah.
Quite often and in a very heavy way.
Oh, wild.
The only reason why I'm not a felon is because I was never convicted of anything. But that was always my job in every crime that we...
I like that you're straight up calling them crimes at this point.
They were crimes. They were absolute crimes.
Wow.
I don't know the statute of limitations on a couple of them.
Holy shit. Wow.
So I won't discuss them
That's
on
fine.
a recording.
You don't know, yeah.
But we had a master set of keys for cars.
Holy
so we had
shit.
Mitsubishi and Toyota and Chevy. We had every set of keys for a car.
Yeah, wow.
Because it was a lock kit that we had taken out of a AAA tow truck.
God damn. Wow.
And then we used to practice using the Slim Jim at home. We were trying to. It was Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah.
We were trying to see how fast we can get in and out.
Wild, dude. Holy shit.
It was and we would just go back to school and sell people. And we would never. We would go to a different neighborhood to grab things out of cars, and then we would sell them at our own school.
Wild, dude. Yeah. How did you fall into that? Was it
boredom?
Was that what it was?
It's just boredom. And my job every time, in every little group of criminal friends that I was in, my job was always to figure out how we're going to get caught and to avoid that.
Right.
And so I would always I would scout the places and stuff, and my job was always to make sure nobody else gets caught.
Wow.
Because they were always super sloppy. They were yo, we're gonna go blah, blah, whatever. And I'm you understand how much noise a smash and grab makes?
Right.
And then I would research. I'm oh, you got to get the center punch, and that it's like a dart. It's it's shaped like a dart, and it's a spring loaded, and then you put it in the corner of the window. And as you put pressure on, the needle pulls back, and then when it hits a certain point, the spring just shoots it through.
Whoa.
And then it just spider webs the entire glass,
so
and then you can just
knock it out.
Knock it out real quietly.
Holy shit!
And statute of limitations on that is way past, so we're good. This was
This
was 2000, 2001.
Wow,
so so I'm okay with talking about this.
Sure.
But we would just pop in, grab your stereo, grab your speakers, grab your CDs, and we were just selling CDs for $1 to $5 a pop.
Sure, yeah, because who cares? You didn't pay for it, so So
it was all profit. We had no overhead,
right?
So we could sell products for cheaper than most people could sell products.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you had to go to Target and pay $15 for the CD.
Sure, but at the same time too, it's a weird life skill where if you're the guy that's thinking of all the worst things that can possibly happen to you guys, I'd imagine that lends itself to a bigger picture of way of thinking, and that's
absolutely.
one thing about you that I know for a fact is you're very good at big picture thinking.
I think that's what makes me a good comedian is because I can see things from so many different angles.
Right.
So I can pick my path when I'm creating a joke.
Yeah.
I can decide, do I want to I can make this joke right now I'm doing this. We cuss on this, right?
Yeah, it's
okay.
fine. Yeah.
Right now I'm doing this bit where I'm talking about kids, and I'm like fuck your kids. Well, don't fuck your kids. I'm not a Clinton. I could have easily went, I'm not a Trump.
Right.
But I decided that, if you only look at things from one angle and from your perspective, and you're always trying to push your agenda, it's going to have that same angle over and over and over again.
Right.
So I went with Clinton because one, I think it's funnier. Two, I don't like the family, and I need this audience to know that, they know immediately that I'm on the left,
right?
But they need to know that I have hard limits, and it's before Clinton,
right?
So they get to learn who I am. And I thought about all this before I put that on stage.
Sure. Yeah.
I think of every way that this joke can bite me in the ass before I put it on stage. And I mean, I do a lot of abortion jokes that could come around very easily and ruin your entire set.
Right.
But if you have a smart way of doing it, if you know how this can turn the audience off, then you can avoid that, and you can still hammer home your own message.
Right. Yeah, it's wild, man. I mean, that's so funny that ability you gain from knocking over cars and.
Well, there was some much rougher things that I'll tell you about when these mics are not on.
Sure, yeah, I'm all ears. Are you like, do you have a big family? Do you have like a lot of brothers and sisters? Or
one younger brother, one older sister.
Oh, you're like right in the middle then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that, I know there's like that whole like middle child syndrome thing where you kind of get overlooked.
I don't think
Did you deal
so,
with that?
man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I could see it, I guess. I think that what it is not that because like the classic is like the middle child is just always fighting for attention.
Right.
I don't think that I was fighting for attention. I think that because I wasn't being paid attention to, that I was able to go whatever direction I wanted. And nobody noticed until it was way too late.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't as much pressure on you. So
yeah,
you could
so
just
it's like
blossom.
Everybody was watching the oldest, and so she couldn't become herself at all. Plus, she was a girl in an Indian family.
Right.
Like, she's getting watched heavily.
Yeah.
So already there's not very much time left over to spy on me, and I'm 3 years younger than her. Mm-hmm. So to them, like, I'm still a kid.
Right.
And I was just always that kid up until all of a sudden I had a 3-foot mohawk. They're like, where the fuck did this come from? They did not see that coming at all.
That's so funny.
Because they didn't notice the slow progression. Because they were so focused on making sure nobody fucks their daughter.
Right.
And that's like in an Indian family, that's all you're worried about all day long is nobody can touch my daughter. And so since that's where I feel like that's where they put most of their resources, and I just kind of slipped under the radar, and became this weird little dude that they're just like, oh shit, man, we should have stayed ahead of this.
Sure. Were you? Were you like good in school? I mean, were you like?
I was till a certain point, up until high school. Because I was always in like the 95th percentile and above for all standardized tests except for reading comprehension.
Oh, interesting.
Which turns out is an indicator for dyslexia. I got diagnosed with dyslexia at like 31.
Wow.
I've had it my whole fucking life.
Right.
It's been there the whole time. We just never thought to. I mean, because I have immigrant family, so like immigrants are classically known for not diagnosing or checking out learning disabilities. Like that's a second generation thing.
Sure.
And even like special ed classes were all white kids that had special ed problems, and immigrant kids that were really supposed to be in ASL or ESL. Like they're supposed to be learning English, but they're like, yeah, you fucking retard, you don't know English, and so they put them in with the autistic kids.
Oh,
and it's
right,
like,
yeah.
You guys just didn't understand what was happening.
Sure.
And I belonged in that class because of my dyslexia. We just never diagnosed as dyslexia.
Gotcha.
And I was always getting good grades, and I was always scoring very high. I was in football 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and I was really, really good.
Yeah.
Over summer, everybody started growing, and I didn't.
Oh.
So 9th grade, I legally couldn't play football.
Oh,
I was just too much of a legal liability to the school. I was so small.
Oh, wow.
And so once I stopped playing football, at a certain point, I was like, well, there's no real need to keep my grades up. And then at a certain point, I was like, well, I guess there's no real need to keep clean piss.
Right.
And so then I just started smoking weed and then doing other stuff. And like, my life went a very different direction. But up until like, I'll call it 10th grade, I was going to MIT. That was set in stone.
Yeah.
That was, I had the test scores. I had the grades. Like I wanted to work for NASA one day. Like I had really high high hopes.
Yeah.
I was hacking into like on AOL chat rooms and stuff. Like I was developing like mail bombs.
Oh,
and, like,
wow.
punters that would just like kill everybody's connection.
Holy shit.
Like that.
Yeah, you weren't fucking around.
I was able to crack into the teachers' grades databases and like change grades and shit. And like,
damn,
I was doing crazy things. Like I was a weird little hacker. And now I don't know how to use a goddamn Tascam.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
No,
and so like, yeah, so then you end up, so you make it through high school. What do you end up doing after high school? Is it you go off to college? Or
I went to I went to community college, and I had already decided that like early in high school. That's why I stopped giving a shit about my grades.
Right.
And then, but my standardized test scores kept coming back super high. And so my homeroom teacher kept me after class one day and like sitting across the desk, holding both my hands, looking me in the eye, crying. And she was like, all these kids, all these 4.2 students are nowhere near as smart as you are.
Yeah.
They are fighting to be a fraction as clever as you. And you're just pissing it away.
Yeah.
And I was like, Miss Noto, it's okay. I already decided that I'm just going to go to a community college. She's like, but why? You can get an academic scholarship if you turn your grades around and this. And I was like, she's like, even if you don't, your essay would be so interesting.
Yeah.
That it would make up for how terrible your grades are. Like they would give you a real consideration. You're a first generation, like you've got a schizophrenic uncle, like your grandparents can't read or write in their own language.
Yeah.
Like you have an interesting story. We can overcome this. And I was like, yeah, I just don't want to. And she was so frustrated.
Losing her mind, huh?
She hated me, but she loved me because I wasn't high maintenance, but at the same time, like I was selling weed to all of her honor students.
Right.
I was selling Adderall and shit. And like,
and what do you feel like it was in you that changed, that made you didn't want to do those things? I mean, like why, she's begging you to like apply yourself in this thing, but I mean, what was going on in your head? Like, it's like, oh yeah, you're going to go to a community college, but I mean, was that just it? Like, what did you have in mind to do in lieu of like pursuing a higher education at a prestigious school?
Well, I mean, again, it's that slow roll because in 8th grade I was a great student. Yeah. And now in 9th grade I'm at a new school with new teachers. They don't know anything about that. Yeah, right. So like if I was at one of those schools, if I was in middle school for one more year, or if I got kicked out of football in 8th grade instead of in 9th grade, yeah, the teachers would have seen the switch. Oh, sure. So that switch happened in a transitional
like over summer
period,
or whatever.
Where now these are new humans who don't know what I was or what I'm capable of. So they had to pick up on it a little too late. It's not like your high school teachers have a powwow with your your middle school teachers, right? So they didn't know that they thought that I was a fuck up from the jump. They didn't know that I just became one recently. So it's again like I just slipped under the radar on that. Yeah. But like at the same, like I had a good reason. I was like, there's no point in me going to this 4-year immediately, doing general ed for 2 years, right, paying 9 times as much for the same exact, like, yeah. I mean, Ethiopia is going to be at Ethiopia no matter where you're taking this geography class. You're right. But I'm going to be a math major. So why the fuck am I? There's no point in me going to this 4-year until I get to like calculus 2 and differential equations. Like, there's no point in me doing my undergrad math classes at $7,000 a minute, right? Whoa. When I can just do it for $12 a unit down the street. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and so you do, and that's what you end up doing then, huh? For a couple years, and then I was in I think it was differential equations, or it might have been calculus 2. I can't remember which one, but I was doing one of them over the summer, and I used to take my guitar with like a little pocket amp, like a little Marshall 2 amp. And I would just practice like heavy metal solos in between classes and shit. And like, and I was taking a test, and I started looking around, And I was like, I tried to talk to her. I tried to talk to him, tried to talk to her, him, her, him. And I was like, I can't build a relationship with anybody in this room. And if I continue down this path, these are the people who I'm going to be around for the rest of my life. I'm going to be miserable.
Yeah.
So I just walked out of my test and like I called my mom. I was like, I'm not a math major anymore. She's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like,
you walked out on a test?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And I just grabbed my guitar and fucking left.
Wow.
And she's like, well, what are you going to do now? I was like, I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'm not doing math. I don't want to live like that for the rest of my life. And then I went to like an undergrad psychology course that was like just a general ed prereq or whatever. And I was like, this is pretty interesting. So I just started doing psychology.
Oh, wow.
And it was fun. But then I graduated and I'm like, oh, I can't do shit with this.
So that's what your degree is in then?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in psychology. How and where in all this does the stand-up come in?
Stand-up, I started in college. Technically, like when people ask you how long you've been doing comedy, I go with the date that you started trying. Like,
I see. Yeah.
I had tried it in like 2006 or something like that. And I did it a couple times and I was like, we'll put a pin in this. And once I finished college, because I was doing 3 jobs and like, and going to school full time and like, there was no room for anything else.
Right.
So I tried it in 2006, because I was still in my head, I was still going to be a rock star. Like I still had my mohawk, I had my white contacts, I had 9 piercings in my face.
Wow. You really were all in on the metal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I didn't go anywhere without my guitar. Like even when we went to family weddings, I had my guitar in the car.
Hell yeah.
I was always like in my head, there was like this fantasy moment where like the sound's gonna go out and somebody needs to fill it. Like had like these movie scenes in my head, like a fucking psychopath.
No, I think we all. Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, I'm gonna save the day and I'm gonna play this song. And like, I just always had these weird fantasy situations in my head that were never gonna fucking happen.
Sure. And were you actually playing in bands or were you just?
Yeah, I was in and out of bands all the time, but everybody wanted a different level of dedication. Like some of them were like, yeah, we're gonna be in a band, and then we never practiced because they just really wanted to tell girls they're in a band.
Right.
And then some of them were like, all right, you got to quit your job, we're gonna go on tour, blah blah. And I'm like, we don't have a song written. Like it was just two extremes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why can't I find a group of people that just want to get a practice space, practice in that practice space, book a gig, work our way up, create an album, and then try touring. Right. Like, why can't I find pragmatic humans that want to do this the correct way? Everybody wants to either do nothing or go all in with nothing. Yeah, right. And so we were in Santa Cruz, and my brother had a culture show. He was in like the Indian Student Association, and they hired this comedian to close it out from LA, and they paid him like $3,000. They paid for his flight, paid for his car, paid for his hotel, his food, his alcohol, everything for the whole weekend. Yeah. Bombed his dick off. Oh, no. Miserably. And I'll be like, going back to like read your room. Like, I read the room last night and I knew that they're like this very church crowd. I knew that a couple of them that were not going to be pleased no matter what. Right. And so I dedicated every joke to them. I wanted to make sure that I was looking at her every time I got the punchline. Just wanted to try to get any kind of reaction. Yeah. But they were still adults. Right. They've still heard this language before. Right. This guy didn't read his room at all. There was children. There was grandmas that like barely spoke English. Like it was like 4 fucking generations of humans in this one room. Yeah. And he's up there like, you know, when you're fucking a pussy and we're like, no, dude, what are you thinking? Yeah, holy shit. And so we went out.
Just real quick, do you remember? You don't have to say his name, but you.
Oh, 100%. His name's on the store wall.
No shit. Oh, that's why you can tell me off mic, or I don't know.
He's not doing comedy anymore.
Oh, who is? Oh, man.
He's doing like motivational speaches and shit.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah,
no, probably not. It's an Indian dude.
Oh, it's an Indian dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I was saying I forget the other guy. That's
by this point, I mean, if he's listening, he knows it's him.
Sure, fair
There's
enough.
a very specific situation.
Anyway, but you saw what this guy was doing, and that you were like, oh, I mean that kind of like got you thinking about.
Well, no,
comedy again?
I still wasn't thinking about comedy at all. We went out afterwards and we're at a bonfire and we're passing the guitar around, and somebody was like, "Why don't you start doing comedy? You're funnier than this guy is."
Yeah.
And so I came back to Sacramento, did an open mic without telling anybody, because if I told anybody and it didn't go well, I would never live it down. My friends are comics.
Sure.
And so I did it. It went well enough for me to tell people, and then like I had people come out the next time, and then I was like, all right, we'll come back to this once I'm done with college.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated college in 2009, then I started really going. 6 months later, I got my first host weekend.
Yeah.
I think 2 years in, I got bumped up to feature. And then at 7,
is this at Punchline or
Laughs Unlimited?
Laughs Unlimited, got it.
Yeah, Laughs Unlimited. 6 months in gave me a host week. 2 years in gave me a feature week, and then at like 7 or 8 years gave me a headline spot.
Wow, good for you, man. Holy shit.
And they worked with me a lot, man. And I would go over as a host, be like, so when are you gonna bump me up to headline? Because like I'm killing your features.
Yeah.
So when you bump me to feature, and they would straight up be like, we've considered you, we just don't think you're ready. And we're like, all right, so what would you like to see out of me? And Jenny or JC or like whoever I asked, they'd be like, well, this is what you're doing correct. This is what you're doing wrong. And then the next time I would get a week with them, and I was at the host spot, I was getting like 5 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely better than all the hosts, and I was better than half of the features. So they rewarded me with more opportunities, and I also promoted the shit out of everything. So it's like there was a lot of times where we would not have had a Sunday show if they had literally anybody else on the lineup.
Oh wow.
But I would be able to bring like 20 people every single show.
Yeah.
And at the host spot, that's fucking strong.
And that's really cool that they were so committed to like helping you develop. Like I don't think there's like a lot of spaces and places that are that allow you to do that. And so I mean that's really cool. And I mean in the moment when you were getting that feedback from them, did you feel like it was like valid feedback? You were like, oh yeah, like
always. I've always been very good at taking rejection and criticism. Like I know that this is for my own good. She's giving me exactly what I want. I'm asking her what are my shortcomings.
Yeah.
And she's telling me exactly what she wants to see out of me and what direction she wants to see my growth.
Right.
And then when she gave me a feature week that I've been asking for a long while, and the reason why I got it was because the headliner had passed away.
Oh my god!
The day of.
Jeez.
And so the guy that was supposed to be featuring got bumped up to headline, and she asked me if I would like the feature spot.
Yeah, wow. Dude, talk about like divine intervention. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, what a wild set of circumstances.
And I was actually really looking forward to that weekend too, because this guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
It was Scott Kennedy. He was super funny, and everybody was like, he had a really big following at the Sacramento club, especially. People came over and over to see this guy.
Yeah, what a bummer, man. That's so sad.
But then she bumped me up to feature for that week. And right before the call on my name, I'm like, I'm not ready. And I've been gunning for this.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, oh shit, no, they saw that.
Yeah.
They saw I wasn't. They saw that I thought that I was ready, but I wasn't.
Interesting.
And then when I got the headline spot, I was definitely ready.
Sure.
I was absolutely ready. And Carlos Rodriguez came to the first show.
Oh wow.
Got my light, wrapping up, and I was like, man, I didn't even get through all my jokes. And he was like, when you got your light, I was at the booth with Jenny, and I was telling her like, yo, he's not ready to get off. He's cutting his set short. And I was like, yeah, man, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I was at that 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
It just went so
you were just having so much fun.
Yeah, it went so fast. And I was like, oh, cool, man. I definitely have more than.
Right. But that I mean, that's how you knew you were ready. Yeah. That's amazing.
But I mean, at the same time, like before you start headlining at a club, like you've been headlining bar shows and casinos and retirement communities and like golf courses or whatever,
and like, Italian pizza places.
Exactly.
Like, you know what the time feels like, but still though, like to get to that mark, absolutely crush it and not have even like gotten to the end of your materials. That's got to feel amazing.
It's a good feeling. Like it's validating.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cool. Like this is. All those years of breaking into cars finally paid off.
And then in the weirdest of all ways, but yes. That's amazing. Well, cool, man. I feel like, we got a pretty good sense of who you are. I mean, this is the second half of the show.
Yeah, we're going to do the back nine. I was just thinking that.
Where we talk about dads. We were kind of fiddling with your equipment. I was kind of giving you the rundown on it, but I know we were both pretty distracted. But normally, like, when I get into the dad stuff, it's like such a huge thing, you know. I mean, I usually start with like where your dad grew up, you know, where.
Wait, hang on. Is this thing recording?
Did you hit the?
The record's flashing.
That's a good sign. Yeah.
But the timer is still at 0000000.
Oh, that's weird.
Is that record light supposed to be solid?
Oh yeah, now it's going. It looks like you got to push a button twice.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I can, if you want this file.
This is exactly why I'm not working at MIT. I blame puberty. If I had hit puberty when everybody else did, I would have kept growing and I would have kept playing football, which would have kept my grades up, which would have kept my pee clean, which would have kept me doing computer stuff.
Yeah. It looks like there's like a prime record button and then like a record button. Yeah.
Somebody got paid to put that feature in?
I don't know, man.
That's so dumb.
That's either way, we got it all on my recorder. So yeah.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
So where did my dad grow up?
Yeah,
my dad was born in Punjab, India, which is like the northernmost tip of India, and then it's the border of Pakistan.
Oh wow!
And then moved to England for a couple of years, and then from England moved to Sacramento.
Wow!
And so he's been in Sacramento since the 70s.
Wow. Yeah.
He's been here for a very long time.
Do you have any sense of like where, you know, he was growing up as a kid in northern India? I mean, what it was like?
He's told me stories about like he died.
What?
he drowned. He was like sitting on a tree limb going over a little pond. And he fell into like that pond, and it was like a messy ass pond or like a swamp pretty much.
Yeah.
And he like drowned, and somebody like pulled him out and saved him.
Holy shit. That's wild.
I don't have very many stories from his India days.
Sure. Does he I mean, did he come from like a big family, or was he part of a big family?
2 sisters. One's like significantly younger.
Yeah.
So she was, let's see, I think she's like 10 years younger or something like that.
Yeah.
And then an older sister that's just only like 2-3 years older.
Do you know what was the prompt? Like, what prompted them to move from India to England? What was going on with that?
I don't know why, but like it's everybody's goal to get out of India. You know what I mean? Like same with like Mexico. Everybody's trying to come here. You know, like it doesn't matter what country you're in. Like everybody's trying to move to where the white people are.
Sure, yeah.
That's where anybody wants to be. Is that there's toilets that work and the electricity stays on all the time and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's a luxurious place to be. In India, in Punjab, like there's only certain people. Like you gotta, whenever like racist fucking crazy people that are like, if you don't like our country, you need to leave. They don't realize nobody else wants you. I can't leave. I can't go anywhere else.
Right.
Nobody wants me. I'm gonna be a burden.
Yeah.
I have nothing to provide to the country of Peru. I don't speak the language well enough. They don't need another dishwasher.
Sure. Yeah.
Like they have low class workers everywhere.
Right.
So I can't go anywhere. I can't go to Mexico. As much as Mexico's trying to come here, they don't want us coming there.
Right.
They don't need us. They have enough of their own shit.
How interesting. I've
if
never
I'm
thought
coming
of it in
over
those
as a
terms,
computer programmer or a lawyer or a doctor, awesome. And that's how America works too.
Right.
America only lets in the best and brightest. The quote on the Statue of Liberty no longer applies to immigration. We don't want your sick. We don't want your weak. We don't want the feeble. Like, we don't want
your tired masses or whatever.
No, we don't want the tired. We want only, like, you have to have like 100,000 liquid assets.
Holy shit.
You got to have 100,000 cash, not real estate investments, not stock market portfolio. Like, you got to have 100,000 in the bank to get into Canada.
Holy shit.
Like, we are not taking the poor at all. The only way that poor people get in is through asylum.
Right.
Like, refugees are the only poor people that we let in legally. Other than that, the only countries that we're taking people from that are not white, I mean, if you're coming in from Sweden, you have a very easy path, and your weight is minimal. But if you're coming in from China, Japan, India, anywhere else, like anywhere where there's brown people or black people, you're coming in as a doctor. Yeah. You're not coming in as an Uber driver. Right. The way that you can as a German or Portuguese or Spanish from Spain will totally let you in.
One sec.
Miles Weber's here.
How's it
You
going?
found it. Hey.
I did.
We were right in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I parked in front of the truck. I hope that's okay.
Oh, it's fine. It's perfect. Yeah, it's right in front of the place. Yeah, this is the setup.
Right on, man.
I'm talking about his dad right now.
Well, perfect. Beautiful. All right. Well, I'll grab a seat over here.
Yeah, you can hang out. Oh man.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what the laws were like back then.
Yeah.
But clearly they were a little easier. Every year immigration gets tougher and tougher and tougher, and that's not unique to Trump. That was, I mean, even currently, Obama deported more Mexican people in his first 4 years than Trump has so far.
Right.
He was way stricter on, and that it's weird how much credit Trump gets for his stance on immigration when, I mean, Obama had a very similar stance.
Sure.
He just wasn't so braggadocious about it. He wasn't walking around like, we booted 100,000 brownies today. It's not even noon.
Yeah.
The way that
all over Twitter. Yeah. And so your dad, I mean, what kind of skills did your dad have when he came over? Just none.
I mean, he was a kid, but
I see.
So his dad came over as just, I mean, a laborer.
I see.
When they moved over, the entire family worked as they worked in Fairfield picking tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, my dad was going to school as a kid and then picking tomatoes with his fucking family until sunset.
Wow. Yeah.
And getting paid absolutely nothing. They're getting paid slave labor wages because they're just immigrants.
What options do you have? Yeah. Oh wow.
And then he's been working his entire life, and because of that, I've been working my entire life.
Yeah.
I've had a job since I was like fucking 8.
Yeah.
There was never an excuse for not working.
Sure.
So they, I don't even know what his dad did actually. But they used to live in these project homes underneath I-5 on Broadway in Sacramento, which are still like some of the roughest. It's the roughest development in Sacramento.
Yeah.
They were busted broke. So they came from extreme poverty. So my dad doesn't get rid of anything. So I just recently cleaned his garage with them, and there was never any plan to do this. They have a 3-car garage. There was just a pathway to walk through, and then other than that, just shit. You couldn't see there wasn't a visible square inch.
Oh wow!
And it was just piled up to your knees, even higher.
Jeez.
It took us 8 weeks to clear it all out.
Well, I mean, what kind of stuff is it? Just like knickknacks?
Bullshit.
Just bullshit. Yeah.
I mean, I really wish that we had categorized everything and put them into boxes so I can show people how many cases of fire sauce packets.
So I see.
Subway mints and individually wrapped toothpicks and just napkins everywhere.
Yeah,
and what he would do, like he has like 37 hammers, because what he does is he goes and does a project, and then instead of putting his shit away, he throws it in a pile, and then he doesn't remember what pile he put it in, so he just goes and buys a new thing,
hammer, yeah,
and do over and over and over.
What kind of work does he end up growing up in doing? I mean,
so he ended up working for SMUD, which is a utility company like PG&E, but just for Sacramento area.
I see.
Which is why like Sacramento hasn't had any of this PGA problems, because we get our electricity from SMUD.
Oh, right.
So he was a tree
What
trimmer.
a terrible acronym. SMUD.
I always thought it was dope.
Yeah,
Man.
it's kind of fun. Yeah.
I always liked it. I know it feels like a swamp. Like
Yeah. What is it? Sacramento Municipal Utilities District. Oh,
yeah.
okay, got you.
Wow,
Yeah.
fucking for somebody who just learned about
I just
this,
learned
you
that's a thing. I just kind of
pulled out the exact name pretty easily. Man.
What's he? So he's an electrician? Or
No,
what's
he was a
doing?
tree trimmer. So when trees would get too close to power lines, they would send in a crew and clean them up, so that in a storm it wouldn't knock down a line and disrupt service or make a fire or something like this. And this is a big problem with PG&E is they cut. They literally, it just came out with this report a couple weeks ago. They cut their tree budget to give their CEOs raises.
Oh, fucking A. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and that's what's been causing these fires.
Right.
Is
all the overgrowth and oh, fucking A.
It's heinous.
What a terrible reality we live in. This is
heinous. So the local utility never slacked on that shit. And, he would go out in thunderstorms when because sometimes like a tree would just uproot.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's dangerous work. Like
it was, man, but it was super fun. But I can't even tell you how many times. Like, 'cause he would take me on private gigs. Like there was a lot of things where
so he was working. He was doing like a side thing too.
And people would be like, hey, can you guys do our tree? And they'd be like, oh, well, this isn't something SMUD would handle. So you would have to hire a service, and then he would always be the cheapest one.
Sure.
And he would take us with him. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I almost saw my dad die right in front of me.
God.
He just shake it off. He'd be like, whew, well, that was close. And then just grab a different chainsaw and and get the job done.
But either way, I mean, but it does sound like it's because it's a dangerous job, but it's a good job. So I mean, are you guys able to kind of like work your way into like the middle class at that point?
Yeah. They bumped up to. I think that we were probably like on the cusp of middle class when I was born. So like the first 5 years, we lived in a pretty ghetto neighborhood, but I didn't know it was ghetto. I have a joke about I didn't know that I grew up poor. I didn't. I had no. You don't know it.
Yeah.
You don't know what economy is yet. You're a kid.
Right.
We had our basic needs met. We never went to sleep hungry. I never went to bed with an empty tummy.
Yeah.
We were never that poor. My parents had their priorities.
Yeah.
They don't drink or smoke or gamble. They don't have any vices.
That helps,
their money always went to making sure the family was taken care of. But at the same time, our across the street neighbors would be our babysitters, and they were on meth.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And we had no idea. My parents are like, I can't fucking believe we let meth heads watch our children.
Well, because they probably didn't even know how to recognize it either. They knew. Did they? Okay, well, then never mind. Yeah.
They knew. But they're just like, well, they've got kids. Sure. They're making it work somehow.
That's wild, dude.
And we don't have any other options. So, they didn't have money for our babysitters.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't in the budget.
Right.
And then we bumped up in 89. We bumped up to a straight up middle class, very middle class neighborhood, a very white flight neighborhood.
Oh, I see.
Very uncomfortable with us being in their neighborhood. We were exactly what they're trying to get away from.
Sure. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I like that shade of brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, luckily at this time, we weren't looked at as terrorists yet. It was still Russians were the problem.
Sure, yeah. Still Cold War era.
Yeah, up until 2001, we were pretty clean.
Yeah.
So that was never a problem. It was just the mere fact that brown people are in this neighborhood.
Right.
And it was straight up, it was us and 2 Chinese families and 1 black family in the whole area. And so we like my parents immediately identified with that black family because the dad was from I think Trinidad.
Oh, okay.
Or Ethiopia. One, I remember which one was which. 'Cause the mom was from one, the dad was from one, and so
he's just like, it's like, oh, you made it out too, huh?
yeah, pretty much.
Go
like,
us. Yeah.
Pretty much, they're like, oh, you're a colored dude in this white neighborhood from a poor country. Like they had a fairly similar background, so like they immediately gravitated towards each other, which was cool because me and the sons were like the youngest son was my brother's age, the older son was a year older than me, so like we were like the same size and we were into like a lot of the same things, like so it worked out. We weren't being forced to hang out with these two kids, you know what I mean? Like, we wanted to hang out with those kids anyway.
That's great. Yeah. What, and then for you growing up, I mean, it sounds like your dad, like obviously he took you out on like those jobs and everything, but I mean, what was like your relationship like with your dad? I mean, how did you guys get along growing up?
Great. We were the best part of his life. I mean, he had a very physical, demanding job, and he would leave the house at like 5 a.m. or some shit, 6 a.m. And then just mow down huge trees all day long. It's exhausting work, day in and day out. And as soon as he came in the door, there was 3 little monkeys just waiting to climb in, and he would get his second wind. And as soon as he walked in the door, we would attack him. And he would like,
he was just all about it, huh?
All of our childhood pictures are like him on his hands and knees and us on him, riding him like a horse, and he's just got a huge smile on his face.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah, we were the best. We're his favorite thing that's ever happened.
And how did your mom and dad meet?
Arranged marriage.
Was it?
Yeah, she was in England, he was in Sacramento.
No shit.
And they have a mutual cousin. So like his dad's brother was married to her mom's sister.
Oh, wild. Yeah. I don't even know how that. Yeah, it's like a weird like U-turn in the family tree.
Yeah. So people would ask, how'd you guys meet? And my dad would be like, we're cousins. And she's like, no, we're fucking not. We're not at all cousins. And he's like, yeah, well, like my uncle was married to your aunt. Like, we're cousins.
Just your mom was like, stop saying.
She's like, we're not Pakistani, bro. Calm down. Like,
that's really funny.
But there was no word for it. Like,
yeah, right.
So, and in Indian culture, like we just call everybody like cousin brother.
Sure, yeah.
Like there's no real distinction between a brother and a cousin.
Right.
And like even with uncle and aunt, like I don't know anybody's name. They're all just auntie.
Yeah.
They've always been auntie. So anytime I go to like a family event, I'm like, hey, auntie was asking if blah blah blah, and they're like, all right, well, which auntie? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. That one over there, the short one. I don't know. Like, she's wearing green. Green auntie? I don't know what the fuck to call her. You guys have never taught me anybody's name.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, wow.
So, like, their kids are my cousins. I don't know if that's the truth. Like, we have no...
Sure.
Just because, like, the community was so small,
right,
coming together that, like, everybody just claimed to be family.
Yeah, it's just a giant family. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of nice, though. I mean, and obviously they've gotten along. I mean, are they still getting along to this
they're
day?
made for each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, my parents are perfect for each other.
That's so cool. Yeah,
like, they have the same lifestyle. Like there's no compromise.
Yeah,
at all. Like everything that they're doing is what they would have done. Like, or if they had ended up with somebody else, they would have wished that they were doing things this way.
Sure.
Like, yeah, they're both very much the same person.
Oh, that's awesome. And how do they feel about you getting into comedy? I mean,
they're happy that I found something that makes me happy. They just wish that medicine made me happy.
Sure. Yeah.
They don't get this. They can't, this isn't a product that they consume, so they can't conceptualize this.
Right.
So to them, like, I've sent them photos of me with like Dave Chappelle or Russell Peters or something like, and they've just responded with like, so did you have a good show tonight?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, that's me and Dave Chappelle. And they're like, is that somebody I should know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, is that a buddy of yours has he been over the house? I'm like, they're trying to place him.
Yeah.
They have no idea who the hell this guy is.
Sure, but they're like, good for you, son. Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, he's like literally the biggest comedian
in
almost ever.
Yeah, in
like,
the world.
Oh, okay, cool. That's it. Like until I sent them a photo. The 2 times that they geeked out, my mom freaked out when I was working with Sinbad.
Oh yeah.
And my dad showed everybody at work when I sent him a picture with me and George Lopez. I wasn't working with George Lopez. We were just at Laugh Factory hanging out. And like I talked to him about my dad and like how cheap he is and shit like that. Like George was just like George was making fun of him and shit like
yeah.
My dad was just like, oh my God, George Lopez knows who I am. Like,
how cool, man.
That's only 2 times that they were like excited about my career. Otherwise, like this isn't something that they conceptualize, so they don't know what any of this means, which is good and bad. It's it sucks because no matter how successful I become, they'll never be proud.
Right.
At the same time, no matter how big of a failure I am, they won't be disappointed.
Right.
Like to that, they're so neutral on this that no matter where this ends up going for me, they will be equally impressed and disappointed.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
There's nothing I can do to move their Richter at all.
Sure. Did your siblings grow up to do any of the kinds of jobs that they were hoping they would, or?
Yeah, well, my sister graduated from a tier 1 law school.
Oh, wow.
Like my brother is working for the feds.
Wow. Okay. All right. So they've got at least some of that, you know. Then they got their weird middle kid.
Well, but my brother was. They thought my brother was fucked.
Oh, really?
Like they thought that there was no way he's ever going to become anything like. They had all their eggs in the DJ basket.
Oh, wow.
Like I was this brilliant little prodigy of a child. And I remember like my mom was crying. I walked into my mom crying because like my brother had like horrible eyesight and he had a speech impediment and like he had like this horrible lisp, which was adorable. It was so cute. And again, like going back to that middle child thing, who wants to pay attention to the kid that can see straight and talk normal?
Right.
When you got this kid with like Coke bottle, like 2-inch ass glasses, who can't keep his tongue in his mouth, and he's like, "Look what I got! I got a wing." It's fucking adorable. Anytime I'm hanging out with kids, like I am always way more about the weird little fucked up kid.
Right. He's like a character from a sitcom.
Exactly. Like he was I don't know,
like a Steve Urkel.
He was
or
like
something.
a Goonie or something. I don't know. Like he was adorable. So of course nobody's gonna pay attention to my ass. I recognized that early. I was not. I was like, like I can totally understand this kid's cuter.
That's awesome.
It's just adorable.
Well, good for him. I'm glad he grew into it.
But like now he speaks very eloquently and like his eyesight's totally in order. He could read. Like he used to have to go to like after school like tutoring kind of things or whatever, where they would make him crawl on the floor to my mom or to my dad. Like that was a real exercise.
Oh wow!
But he couldn't see anything from the other side of the room.
Oh.
So like he was crawling in like some wonky ass direction and then like had to like get corrected and shit.
Oh,
like,
wild. Yeah.
Like, and my mom was crying one time and I went over and I was like, don't worry, I'm going to be successful and I'm going to take care of him. And like, that was legitimately the plan.
Wow. Is this like he was such a lost cause at that?
He was fucked. Yeah.
Good for him, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But it was, again, like immigrant parents, it wasn't just that he was this fucked up kid. Like he needed that extra attention and he needed glasses.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that he was dumb.
Right.
And that's like, as an immigrant household, it's like, we don't believe in science and shit yet. You know, like we don't believe in medicine. Like my parents have evolved, but they were listening to their parents.
Right.
Because their parents have successfully raised children now. So
yeah,
like my parents took him to like this Punjabi witch doctor to cure his eyes. And they're like, yeah, what you got to do is rub almond oil in your hair before you go to bed.
Oof.
And I was like, I think glasses is probably the best.
Maybe we should just take him to Lens Crafters or something.
I don't think that the almond oil is going to fucking help, man. But my dad to this day attributes his good eyesight to the almond oil Punjabi witch doctor thing. And it's like, no, he had an astigmatism.
You know, it all worked out. So we're, jeez.
My dad will always give more credit to some kind of a religious element than anything else.
Yeah. Well,
even like when my mom had an aneurysm in May, my dad he kept saying like, everything's gonna be fine. My Lord is gonna take care of it. Blah, blah, this and that. Like, my Lord's a good Lord, and I've been faithful and loyal, and He's gonna reward us, and blah, blah, this and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why couldn't you have been more loyal so that He wouldn't have hit her with a fucking aneurysm?
Yeah, right.
Maybe we let the doctors take care of this.
Yeah.
I think God was asleep at the wheel on this.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, why would? Yeah.
And He would keep prayer going, and like he was like on this strict prayer regimen that he's been on his entire life. And I was like, well, Dad, if your prayer is that awesome, can you start right now preemptively praying that none of this bad stuff happens anymore?
Wow, you get real combative with your dad over that sort of thing, huh?
Because he's always like when I bought my house, he brought over the CD player and he hid it somewhere and had this 24-hour prayer cycle that needed to go for like a week or 21 days or something like that.
Whoa.
I think it was 21 days. And I was like, well, Dad, like, I'm going to be having people over drinking this entire time and shit. Like, I'm not waiting for this.
Yeah.
And I had people over and they're like, oh, cool, you got a CD player. And then they like linked their stuff. Like we switched it out.
Yeah.
He came over and it wasn't playing and he lost it.
Oof.
And he's like, I don't ask much from you kids. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But at the same time, like, that's your religion.
Right.
This is my house.
Yeah.
I'm not believing in any of this shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen too much bad shit happen to very religious people that none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the South is super religious. They get hit with hurricanes every goddamn year.
Right.
There's no avoiding it. No matter how much they praise Jesus,
Yeah.
they still get flooded over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's one point of contention for you guys, but I mean, do you guys still get along well now? I mean,
We just don't bring that up.
Yeah, I think it's good.
We just never do.
Yeah.
But religion has always been the number one. As much as my dad loved us,
Yeah.
we were obviously a second priority.
Oh,
Always.
yeah. I could see how that would create some resentment.
Religion was always number one.
Yeah.
And like there was these dudes that would come over claiming that they're like these gurus, and he would just call them master. And it's a weird feeling watching your father call someone master.
Yeah. And his own
master's
house.
a heavy word, man.
Right. His own house in front of his own kids. Like,
Yeah,
ugh, that is
and
kinda weird.
he would stop the world and do everything for this dude, no matter what. He would just follow him. And if my mom wasn't in the picture, we would have stayed poor our entire lives, because these dudes come through and they say shit like, you don't need material goods, let me free you of the shackles of reality and shit like that, and all they're doing is siphoning money out of your account.
Right.
And he would sign over every fucking penny as long as some old man in a turban told him that it was in the name of God.
Holy shit, dude.
And we would
How
never have
predatory.
anything. And then we would definitely go starving. Then we would go to bed hungry for sure. Because he would be like, you got to sacrifice for God. And I was always like, what the fuck kind of a God makes you sacrifice?
Right.
Why wouldn't your God want you to, why would your God want you uncomfortable?
Yeah.
That's a fucking horrible God.
That is pretty shitty. Oh, man.
And that's what every religious leader does.
Yeah.
They're all like, well, you don't need to pay your rent.
That's a
I need
business.
a helicopter.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that was the point at which I started to lose my faith, because I grew up very Christian, and like it was the thing that turned me off to it was when, and I've mentioned this on my podcast before, but was when I would hear my mom like talk about how the church would have like these shortcomings financially, because she was always like the secretary or some elder in the church. And then I noticed that, like, whenever I would overhear my mom having those phone calls, the following Sunday there would be some fire and brimstone ass like thing from the preacher about how you need to give more. And I'm like, oh, this is a business. Like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
You're just trying to.
It's very much like give us all your money and then you'll get into like they're selling seats to heaven. They're like, but that's not all. The first 100 callers, like it's all Billy Mays shit.
Right. Oh man, well we got to bring this thing in for a landing here because I'm actually running short on time. But this is a part of the show where I ask for like your favorite dad anecdote. I call them dadecdotes, and it's just like any story you like to tell about your dad, good, bad, or otherwise. But if you've got a favorite dad story, that's usually how I like to end these things.
To give you more of an idea of who he is as a human.
Sure.
In seventh grade, I was getting bullied by this kid named Dale. Fuck Dale. There's people who are going to listen to this when I post this, and they're going to know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. This is like my first like real bully. Like I'd been bullied before, but this is like the first time that it had gotten like physical. Like he had shoved me to the ground while we were playing basketball, and then called me a pussy.
Yeah.
And like it kept getting more and more physical. And I came home one day and I was like I'm trying to get advice from my dad. And I'm like, I'm coming to him like I've got a problem at school, and it's me, him, and my sister in the kitchen. And I was like, Dad, there's this kid at school that he shoved me to the floor and in front of everybody, like he shoved me on the ground, and then he stood over me and called me a pussy. And my dad's a black belt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he grew up in a really rough neighborhood, so like he had to learn how to defend himself early. So he's a black belt, so he's like, come here. He takes me to another room, and I'm like, awesome. My dad's gonna show me a move. I'm gonna be able to defend myself. And then he leans over, smacks me across the face, full strength, and he goes, "You don't ever use that word in front of a woman."
Jesus.
And I was like, great. Okay, so I guess I'm going to school tomorrow.
I think you got the wrong takeaway.
That's the level of chivalry, my dad.
Yeah, I mean, it's high chivalry. Yeah, definitely not what you're expecting.
Not at all, man. That took a left turn quick, man.
Yeah.
Like,
that's great.
I was like, now I'm getting bullied at home? Fuck, man. I can't win.
DJ, you've been an awesome guest today. If people want more DJ Sandhu in their life, where should they go? Where should they find you?
Hell, that's where I will be for eternity, for sure. There's absolutely no... After last night's show, very little chance that I'm getting into a positive afterlife. But let's see. Next week, I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Looney Bin Comedy Club. On the 30th, I have some weird show in Bakersfield.
Oh, cool.
That's going to be a fun one.
Do you know who you're doing that show with?
It's who's the producer?
Yeah. Or...
it's Rick Carrillo.
Oh, I don't know, Rick. Yeah.
And it's like Jeff Garcia's on the show.
Oh, cool.
I think Ricky Excieta is on the show.
Are you guys at like the Fox Theater or where down there? Or where?
I don't remember where it is actually. That's probably something I should know.
No, I was curious.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far in my life yet. I'm taking everything like 2 weeks at a time.
That's fair.
So like,
yeah.
And then let's see.
Do you post all your dates on your website?
Yeah, I actually finally got a website too.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
I don't know the name of the website yet though.
I'll link it in the show notes.
I'm terrible at this.
No,
I'm trying to get my online thing together.
It's not fun, man.
It's not. Which is why I'm trying to do this podcast thing right now. Trying to figure out how to do this.
That's great.
I've got I will start doing this podcast called Everything's Racist with DJ Sandhu.
I love it already.
Where me and my guest will take two stories from this last week. One is obviously racist. One is not at all. And we will jokingly explain why the racist story isn't racist. And then we will make the not racist story racist unnecessarily.
All right.
So that one's going to be fun.
I already love it. Yeah.
And I'm a pro. This is my superpower. I can make anything racist. I'm so good at it. It's so unnecessary, but it's fun for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I like making people cringe a little bit.
Yeah. Let me know when you got it up.
Oh
and all.
no, did I really do a racist thing? And no, I just like making you feel like
you are very good at selling that. Like the other day I asked you to do this and you were like, fuck you. And
I was like, nah, fuck you.
I was like, did I do something? Like, I can't remember. Like, what was the last thing I said to DJ? I don't even right on. Dude, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, you got it. And we're back. DJ Sandhu, everybody. He's great. Catch him if you can. He's a hard guy to catch, man. He's all over the place, man. He's performing all over the United States. He's a lot of times he's out in the Midwest. Sometimes he's on the East Coast. I know Danny and I had been wanting to book him to do our shows for a long time, and it wasn't like he was unwilling to do it. It was just like, oh, we got to find a hole in his schedule. He came out with Miles Weber. Miles Weber is another very, very funny comedian. They're like best friends. We talked about that on the episode, but you hear Miles in the background kind of giggling a little bit, and Miles is great. I really wanted to do an episode with him too, but we just ran out of time. I think that the day that we recorded this, I actually had to get Abby to that softball tournament. So, she's on early outs this week too, because it's parent teacher conference week. You guys remember those? Going those, you get like minimum day. The week of parent teacher conferences, and you get a half day of school. It was awesome when you're a kid, but man, as a parent, it's like, whoa, I gotta get rolling. I gotta get going. I don't want to forget my kid. I don't want to be that parent. I don't know. So we had Abby's parent teacher conference. Went well. She doesn't like math very much. It's a real bummer. I'm trying to like figure out how to get her excited about math. I've got a lot of good advice on that though. So I don't know. She's really into reading though. She likes to read. She loves to write. So I guess that's like me. I was the same way. But at the same time too, I'm like, I just think I didn't have good math teachers. You know, I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, cool. Guys, if you could rate and review this podcast on iTunes, I'd love you forever. We're at a perfect score right now on the iTunes rating. So if you want to keep that up, you can. If you just rate the podcast, whatever you think it really is. Don't try to appease me. I appreciate the honest feedback. You can leave a comment if you leave a comment on iTunes. I tend to read those out loud, so you can do that if you want a little Sad Dad shout out. You can also message me saddadpodcast@gmail.com. There's also the Sad Dad Facebook page, and there's a Sad Dad Patreon if you want to support the show, help me pay for some of the hosting fees to get this thing out every single week, and then that's it. All right, we'll be back next week with a great episode with Jean Whitney. She's super funny, she's so nice, and she's so thoughtful about stuff. It's a great. I actually sat down and did that this morning, the time of this recording. I think it's the earliest episode of Sad Dad I've ever recorded. She had to get back out on the road. So cool. I will catch you guys next week. I think I'm going to be releasing a Thanksgiving episode. Ooh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, you guys take it easy, and adios.